what's up, everybody? Happy Thanksgiving. I know it's yesterday, and I hope all of you had a good time with your family, friends, and loved ones, because I did. I had a nice time with my family and friends, and it was one of those good ones. And, it seems a little bit cloudy right now, going by what is going on in the world, but the pandemic that we are all grappling with. But if you're still alive and can hear my voice, I think you have a reason to praise your stars, to praise your God, or your creator. So, so happy Thanksgiving to each and every one of us, and we hope for better days for sure. Now, to this podcast, I'll be talking about just a quick, short one, just like a quick roundup of what has happened in the past couple of days. I know that for the most part, a lot of us have not heard my voice. You've not heard me say anything for some time, and you may be wondering what's going on with me. Well, because I was going to make a podcast with a very sweet big sis of mine, and we couldn't just, the time was not just right. We couldn't just set it up, and that particular episode really took a lot out of me, because I had to study I studied extensively about babies and the rest of that. But I know that we can always still make that podcast when given the appropriate time. And yeah, that's what I've been doing with that. But today's podcast, I was talking about three things. Like I said, what has been happening in the past couple of days. Anyway, as I was saying, right, I talked briefly about it on my Instagram page when I talked about the death of the great football legend. We call it soccer here in America. I'm talking about no other but Diego Armando Maradona. Diego Maradona was 60 years old when he died, and it's a shocking one. It's a real shocker. Not because he was too young to die or whatever, but because people like that, those iconic figures, whenever we lose them, we don't want to ever lose them, because they are part and parcel of our of what shaped our kind of thinking. So when you think soccer, you think Diego Maradona. When you think basketball, you think Jordan. When you think female tennis, you think of the Williams sisters. So that's how it goes, like that. When you think golf, you think of Tiger Woods. So when you have an iconic figure like Maradona passing on, it's a shocker. And I talked about that, and I just want to maybe, if I can, I want to expound on that a little bit. Why is death a shocker for me? Is because there's a man that has endured a lot in his life. A man whose greatness, it was great in the 80s and early 90s, but it could have lasted a lot longer than that. I did not been caught up in, unethical behavior like using drugs and the rest of that. Even at that, despite the fact that his career was cut short because of drug accusations in the, was it US 94 World Cup or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. And he was he was banned from playing soccer and the rest of that. The short time that he played the game, it was so impactful. This is a man that it was 5'5". He's not the tallest of men, but what he did, even giants could not even try to do such a thing. We're talking about in the history of Argentina, for instance, they've had 2 times have they won the World Cup, and the second time was with Diego Maradona. I think they would have won the third one had they not been chased out of the championship. All right, because it tested positive after the game they played with Nigeria. Now, why am I saying all of these things? It's not because of anything, just to let us understand how great he was. Some people were on the path of greatness, like the case of Kobe Bryant. He was exceedingly great with basketball, and he was going to do something even greater off the court with his business, with investing in female basketball, with so many things that he was, even with coaching, with his books, and so many things that he had already won an Emmy. Can you imagine that? He had barely finished playing basketball, retired from basketball, and he won an Emmy. And he was on the path of greatness. And we knew that Kobe would have been so great if he was alive today. same with Chadwick Boseman. It was just scratching the surface of his greatness, and then death took him away. So in the case of Diego Maradona, he's a lot older than this guys, because like I said, he was 60 years old. But because we know that he could have done a lot more on a soccer field, and even at that his bad conduct chased him out of the game, his influence still reverberated throughout the world to this day. He got the chance to coach his country, the soccer team of the Argentine soccer team. He got a chance to be part of some major sporting decisions and events in terms of the soccer in the soccer world, and he was named I think because the world of soccer has two major players. There is Pele and there's Maradona, right? So Pele was voted as the biggest player of the century, but Maradona had, because it was like a tie, but Maradona had the one that says that it was the most digitally popular player of the century, because people just love Diego Maradona. He did the thing he did with the hand of God, when he jumped higher than the keeper and he used his hand to chip the ball into the post, and there was no VAR at the time, so they could not tell if it was indeed like if he indeed used his hand to hit the ball or his head, because it was so close at the time, so they thought it was his head. But how can a 5'5" player jump higher than a goalkeeper that was probably 6'2" or 6'3" or whatever the case is? Anyway, that's one leg of his greatness. The other part of it is that his life was very was marred with a lot of controversies. Like I said, he was kicked out of the game because of his conduct, and this thing did not stop. He battled cocaine addiction. Before anything, he was friends with people like, what's this guy's name? This drug lord in Colombia. Oh, snap. And he was even friends with Fidel Castro. So he liked this. He was friends with some controversial people. But Maradona lived his life without apology. He apologized to no one. He lived a life that was how he wanted to live his life. And so then he went to Naples in Napoli, and he won 2 championships for Napoli. This is a team that would never dreamt of winning a championship in their life, but Maradona got onto that football team, and he won them a championship. He won them 2 championships, as a matter of fact. That was back to back. Then all this time he was doing drugs, because remember he played shortly in Barcelona, but couldn't continue because of his off the field shenanigans. He was always partying, always doing drugs. And then he went to Italy, and they just accepted him. They opened their arms for him, and he was great. So you look at his life, there are so many, is it Jimi Hendrix? There are so many great people like Jimi Hendrix, that was the great guitarist, that could have been a lot greater. And even for the short time that they were here, they made such an impact that you have to acknowledge their greatness. Jimi Hendrix is long gone now, right? But everybody talk about him as the greatest guitarist of all time. And he died. He did not even live long like that. He died it wasn't early 30s or late 20s, something like that. But it was so great with his guitar that people had to pay him that respect that nobody can ever do it the way Jimi Hendrix did it. So, you live fast, but you die young. You live for a short period of time, but you've made a global, a forever impact in the life of people, in the history of this world. So there are so many polarizing figures like that. The Jimi Hendrix, the Michael Jacksons, Diego Maradona, Kobe Bryant, and so on and so forth. So it's a sad thing, and the whole world sort of poured their support there, came out with their well-wishing messages to the great Diego Maradona. I look at everything, I'm like, man, this man fought. Make no mistake about it. He fought his own demons, because nobody was going to conquer Diego Maradona but himself. And to know that he dealt with cocaine addiction, with with drugs, basically drug abuse, And after that, it was high on. It got addicted to alcohol, and it got big. Like for a 5'5" person, it got real big. And so there was issue with his weight. It was obese, and it was an addicted alcoholic person. So it was a lot of things that happened in his life. But the funny thing is that before he died, like I think sometime this month, all right, he did a surgery because there was a blood clot in his brain, and he did a surgery, and they thought he was going to die with that as a result of that. But he survived that, only for him to die of a cardiac attack. But it's okay. He has lived a great life, and I know that, like the president of Argentina said, that there will be 3-day mourning day for Diego Maradona. That's how great he was, because he really put Argentina on the map. So they're going to mourn him for 3 days. So that just tells you how like 3, when you die and there's a holiday, believe me, you have made it. So that's one thing about Diego Maradona. We all feel sad that the great Maradona is dead, but his legacy will always live on. And what is his legacy, if you ask me? His legacy, I'm very sure his legacy that I would like to emulate is not that of abuse of drugs that will be detrimental to your career and to your body, but to be that of someone that figured out he has something that is rare, and he exploited it to the greatest level. I'm talking about when you know that you have a particular skill, you are gifted with a particular thing, and you are generous with your greatness. He was generous. He was an entertainer. People come to the soccer field before the game started because they want to see Diego Maradona jog the football. They like to see him just jog the ball, just play with the ball, because he was so great. It's just such a beauty. Even now that I see, because when he was playing, I was a young boy then. Even now that I see his some of his highlights, I'm just like, wow. People just marvel at the way he plays the game, the way he is in love with the soccer ball, so many things about Maradona that we have to really appreciate. So his legacy is that of playing hard, helping your people, helping the world with your greatness, being diligent and dedicated to your craft, So, and we can also learn things from him as well, because you have to understand that this man, if he had not taken the path of drugs and alcohol, he probably would have been so relevant. And he was still relevant because it was, for an appearance, it's a lot of money to see Maradona come on your show. He's Maradona. They have a stadium named after him. So he was all time great. And so I just want to say to his kids, his family, his loved ones, that trust me, the whole world knows that you lost one of the best of all time, and the whole world is mourning, because he's not just your father, your grandfather, whatever the case is. He's someone that the world actually truly loves. Yes. So R.I.P. Maradona. Yeah, let me quickly talk about something different, because I've been going on Maradona's case for some time. In New York, right, there was this law that was, the churches and the Jewish community, they went to court suing the state government for restricting their movements, their right to gather, as entrenched in the First Amendment. And the courts ruled in their favor that the state government has no right to infringe on their rights to gather and their First Amendment. All right, in terms of religious freedom. And that was because Justice Amy Coney Barrett, I think that's her name, she ruled in favor of that. It was 5-4 kind of ruling, and so that case is dead. But the significance of that case is that it's not just enough to suppress a group of people to do your own bidding. That's not going to happen. This is America. And as for the religious groups too that went to court, they have their reasons, and I can 100% agree and see where they are coming from. But the bigger picture is the health of New Yorkers, because the Orthodox churches are saying, in fact, churches generally, not just the Jewish community, churches generally They are not happy with the fact that the government is coming down on them heavy, that they should not gather, they should not have people in their churches, because they are saying that you guys have these bars open, you have all these restaurants, do half whatever they are doing, but when we have to gather once in a week or twice in a week, you start putting your limitations on us. And the state government is saying that, listen, your category and that of the bars and restaurants and the rest is different. You belong to the category of theaters. And if you are not allowing theaters to open and we are giving you guys the chance to gather but not in full capacity, you guys should be thankful of that, going by the current situation. But the churches are not going to have that. And the Supreme Court justices, they sort of sided with the religious group. So I think, it's going to be very interesting, because they have said that they really want the churches to have their right to religious freedom and gathering. So they won. But what is more interesting about the case is that it's not just because it was Justice Amy Coney Barrett that made them win that case. Not just that, but because this lady has been somewhat very quiet, and she has been doing a lot of things low key. Unlike when other justices issue such a judgment or whatever the case is, verdict, they release a statement. She always tries to not release any statement. She's just trying to walk and do her own thing. And I would say she's timid or anything, because you cannot be at that level and be scared of nobody in this world. But it just shows that she's not the type that wants this spotlight. She just wants to walk and do the right thing. So I think I like her. I think she's gonna be very fair in her decision making process, because these are justices. They know the law, and we have to actually trust them, whether they are Democrats or Republicans. So I like the way she's going about it. She's not running to the spotlight. They try to trust her into the spotlight, but she'll be like, no, I'm not having that. I'm not going to go into that. Y'all can have the spotlight for all you want. I'll be just here chilling, minding my business, and I respect people that do such things. All right, so the next one I would like to talk about, which is the final one, is Meghan Markle. Is it a success or douche of success, or what do they call them? Meghan Markle, yesterday they released a statement that says that they are spending Thanksgiving, their first Thanksgiving as a family in America, in their own house that they bought in California, and you appreciate that. The reason I want to talk about these people, Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, is that they've gone through a lot. And if you're looking for heroes, man, Prince Harry would one day be a national hero. Not just because he opted to marry a black woman, as I would like to call her, even though that lady looks more white than any other thing I've seen in my life. But they say she's black. Okay, why? Fine, she's black. But because he's a man of his own word. He's a man of his own character. People like that are really hard to come by. There's a man that has forgone all his royalty or entitlement and stuff to live a regular life. According to what I read, that house that they bought in California, is it Santa Barbara they call it, is a house that they bought like every other person, a couple. They purchased the house on credit, and they were paying like a $40 million house, I think. They have not enjoyed any British royalty or exclusivity of any kind. But of course, their popularity has earned them some deals with Netflix and the rest of that, which I think that's a really good one, because as Netflix now has been coming to people's rescue, we have the Bahamas on Netflix, and these are people that it's a business thing. These are very popular figures, and if you can make money doing business with them, why not? And that has maybe earned them some real cash. Remember that Meghan Markle herself, she used to be a very good actress herself, and I think she still has the skills to act and be very productive. So what am I saying is that they are doing that in their house. They are, their Thanksgiving, but then they issued a statement that they had a miscarriage. So this lady had a miscarriage, and she said something that she had a quote that I'm gonna share with you guys at the tail end of this podcast. She said, she released this statement because she wanted people to know that sometimes people are not okay. And I remember how she has been going through this whole process, how the media has really go hard on her. If you look at what she's gone through compared to what Prince William's wife, I can't remember her name right now, has gone through, is night and day. But what they did not know is that all those media scrutiny also helped to make her even more polarizing. And they had to run away from the United Kingdom. They went to Canada. Now this was the first time they were living in Tyler Perry's mansion. Now they got their own mansion in California. It's a lot of turbulent times for these people. These are first-class citizens of the world, by all means, by every stretch of your imagination, and they have sort of freed themselves from those reality exclusivity entitlement to be regular people, which comes at a huge cost because now they don't have access to funds and so many other things, even security. But this man, Prince Harry, and his wife Meghan Markle, they stuck together. And when they had a miscarriage, imagine they have the baby, their son, Prince Archie, right? Actually, Archie is his name, if I'm not mistaken, Archie. And they were going to have a second child, and she said that she lost that baby while changing the diapers of her son, Archie. Imagine that pain, that anguish that she must have gone through. It's unimaginable. Losing your baby, I don't know if it was a male or female, while changing the diaper of your son. I sincerely wish this lady, Meghan Markle, I know she has been strong and she has been very, very resilient and, very strong lady. I sincerely hope and I wish that she'll be able to see this thing through. That the kind of, she would not know the kind of inspiration she is right now to those young girls out there, to those young guys too that want to marry a young black girl or Chinese girl, whatever the case is. She has been so strong. She's right in the height of the bull, the British media bull, and she has been doing a fantastic job. I know that she's going through a lot. Sometimes when you interview, I saw some of the interviews she did last year. She was sometimes almost tearing up before the camera because she was going through a whole lot. And then she lost the baby again and the rest of that. It's just really heart-wrenching. But I am so happy that she has a man in Prince Harry that really is very supportive of her, that really loves and trusts her. I just really, these people, I'm really rooting for them, because the world is waiting for them to fail, because this man could have just dissolved this marriage and lived a much more easier life. But no, he said, I love this lady and I'm gonna stick with it. And people are saying sort of things, they don't like her because she's, let's face it, why is she having such a bad publicity, such a bad press? It's because she's black. And now they say there's a black blood in the royal family. It's just madness in this day and age. But that's what people will do. People do anything to justify their racism. That's just the plain fact, the truth, in my own opinion. But I love this couple. I'm rooting for them a lot, and I pray that they will keep having the strength to go through this period and even overcome this phase. That even without the entitlement that they deserve, that they are entitled to, being that Prince Harry is a prince, I wish, and I'm rooting and I'm hoping and praying that they make their own wealth and they become great, very, very great. That their story will be a blueprint, a testament, an inspiration to any other person out there that may be going through something like this in his or her life, and for even generations to come, because they have done something remarkable. I've never seen a man that resolute in the face of adversity like Prince Harry. He shouldn't be doing all of this thing. He could have just called it quit long time ago. But he's stood by his wife. He's very strong. He's a strong, comforting pillar. She said that when she told him about what happened, or when they realized what happened in the hospital, they both held each other together and just being there for one another. There's nothing more powerful than that. When you know that your man got your back, when you know that your woman got your back, it's so powerful. Because when you have a united front like that, it's hard for you to fold under any pressure or anything to overcome or defeat you, because you know what, you got each other's back. So it's a sad thing that they lost the baby, but I know that they'll make many more. And I just wish them the best, man. I just really wish them the best. I really love these two people. I'm rooting for them big time, and I'm a big fan of these people, and I wish them the best. So I'm gonna give you the quote now as I'm leaving. Losing a child means carrying an almost unbearable grief, experienced by many but talked about by few. That's what Meghan Markle said. It's an unbearable grief, experienced by many but talked about by a few, because people don't want to talk about it. It's a very sad very sad moment of their existence that they just wish it just goes away, but it's not gonna go away. But don't worry, our lovely Meghan Markle, you are gonna make more babies and you'll be happy for the rest of your life. You got the best man in the world. And as for Prince Harry, just keep doing what you're doing. Don't stop now. Don't stop now. This your story will be the one for the ages. You do what your heart says you should do. You don't care about what the British media says, what the US media says, none of that. You are doing what you want to do. You're living your life on your own terms. And that's bossy. That's gutsy. And we respect that. I respect that. And that's the podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks a lot for listening to this podcast.